and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, click the bell so you don't miss another video. In today's video, I'm going to show you how I made these two abstract art pieces inspired by something that I saw at Hobby Lobby for super expensive. And if you want to see how I put them together using something super unexpected, go ahead and keep on watching. So here are my inspirational pieces that I got at Hobby Lobby. The plate was about $49.95 or something like that. It was like $50 on clearance. And then the tea light was around like $20 or $30, and I thought that was way too much. So I decided to attempt this on my own. I thought they looked like a bunch of straws put together, so I got a pack of straws. This was $1.98 at Walmart. I got my pair of scissors, and I'm also going to be using some hot glue to put this together. So the first thing I did was to cut the straws in half. I really didn't measure anything. I just cut them in half because I wanted them to have, I wanted to have enough straws to like cut if I needed to, but obviously I wasn't working with a full straw. So I just cut about a quarter of the pack, and then I started assembling the whole thing. So basically I worked in sections and made different sections of randomized straws together by gluing them one on top, one below. And then I put them together to make the full structure. There was really no easy way of doing this. Even though it's a simple thing, it was just kind of hard in some sense because you couldn't really follow a pattern, and I couldn't tell you guys how to follow a pattern to do this. I did have the picture in front of me, and I tried to mimic what I was seeing. I did start working on the base first, which is like the back of the plate. And then I started working on the edge later. There was a time during this where I totally gave up and was just frustrated, but it actually ended up working out. So ultimately, if you have the straws kind of weaved into each other, it will work out. And another thing to do is just wait for the glue to dry. It was a little bit frustrating because hot glue typically dries pretty fast, but for some reason on this project, it was melting the straw, which is good because it gave it that like welded look, but it was kind of like annoying to have to wait for it. So I worked on the back or the base of the plate, and then I started working on the outer portion. So I just created different sections similar to the one that you see right here. And when it came to the edges, I used more of the bendy straw portion as opposed to like the straight part of the straw. And I just kept gluing away, randomizing and trying to mimic the picture the best that I could, making sure that everything was glued at least at 2 points so that they would be secure enough and maintain the entire integrity of the structure. And I just kept on going. I know right now it looks like a hot mess. It looks just like a crazy kindergarten project, but eventually it looked a lot more like the actual inspiration piece once I put it together. So once I had all the pieces, all the different sections glued on to make one piece, I would just kind of pick it up to see if it was even and it wasn't warped on one side and you know, not on another. And then once I would pick it up, I ended up cutting the edges because on the inspiration plate, the edges weren't connected. So I had a lot of edges that were connected, and all I did was just kind of shape it the way you would shape like if you were cutting hair or something. And I would just cut around it and just make it mimic that plate. And ultimately, this is what I ended up with. And I think it looks pretty good. Once it was spray painted, and I took care of most of the webbing. I have some more webbing to take care of because like the glue had webs everywhere. Once it was spray painted, it looked really good and was pretty close to the inspiration, and I was pretty happy with it. So this is what it looks like. I hope you guys like it, and let's move on to the next project. For the next project, I started off with two larger straws, and I just inserted them into each other, bending them at the bendy portion, and I glued it at that section right there, and I just kind of pressed it down with my scissors because I wanted to kind of create a little teepee for the top of the tea light holder. So once I had that, I cut smaller pieces of straws again at the bendy portion because I wanted to insert them at the bottom and then connect them to each other. I think watching the video is probably easier to understand than what I'm saying. But as you can see here, I just created a triangle by having all the bendy portions at the angles to make the angles. Next, I connected the two triangles that I made with just a regular straight straw, and I just glued them together. I had to kind of adjust it a couple of times to make sure that everything was even. I wasn't necessarily looking for something super symmetrical. I was looking for more of an asymmetrical look. So I just made sure that it was stable enough, but not necessarily having everything super even because it's not what I was looking for. So once I had my little teepee built, it was time to kind of work on the bottom. I didn't want to recreate the tea light holder exactly. I decided to go in a different direction, so I just added 2 more triangles at the bottom by just gluing more straws together to make the shape of a triangle. So I just glued 2 triangles at each end, and then I had another triangle. Next, I connected those triangles with another piece of straw by just gluing a straight piece at the bottom, or I guess the top of the 2 bottom triangles. And then I started adding more straws at different portions where I felt it made sense to do, just to give it like an asymmetrical, unique look. And all I did was just glue straight pieces of straws at the different angles of the triangles that I had. But I made sure that I had an area that I knew was going to be the bottom, which is where I was going to put my tea light. So this is the shape that I ended up with, and then I just kind of kept playing with it, adding more straws, removing more straws, just to see if I like the shape. I didn't want it too big because it's going to be going in the built-in area by my fireplace, and the space and the height of the shelves are pretty limited, so I didn't want it to be too big, but I wanted it to be big enough to make a statement. So by adding little pieces of straw at different points and gluing them together, I ended up with a shape that made sense. I did cut excess off if I needed to at any point, but you guys see it's pretty simple. It's just basically gluing straws together and making an angle and just creating something that looks good to you. So when I was gluing this, I definitely was blowing on it the majority of the time because I wanted that glue to dry faster. And because it was hot glue, it was kind of melting the straw. It was kind of annoying, but this is what my final structure looks like. I'm going to be making a little stand for it using a mirror, and I'm going to be putting the tea light right below with the mirror being the base. So all I was left to do was to take it outside and spray paint it, and ultimately this is what I ended up with. And I think it looks so beautiful, so gorgeous. I really like, I like the tea light way more than I like the plate. I might try to do the plate again, just now that I've had practice with it. I know exactly what not to do as opposed to what to do. I know what not to do. So I really like it. I hope you guys did. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. It helps me out a lot. If you haven't been following me on social media, go ahead and do that. I will leave it right there on the screen. I thank you guys so much for watching, and I will talk to you in my next video. God bless. Bye-bye.